risk management, another product viability component which is required for working as a product manager within an organization. Generally speaking, for risk management, there's Murphy's Law that says anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So as product managers, as we are strategic and we need to make sure that what we build has gone through the right checks and balances, we need to make sure we manage our risk appropriately. So what kind of risks can happen? What can actually go wrong? 3 different components to this that we'll talk about today. Discovery, you build something that nobody wants to use. So if you had done your product discovery incorrectly, that is a risk over there. Delivery, you're unable to deliver something because it's too technically challenging. Or distribution. There are sales issues, partnerships issues, you cannot get the product to the market, customers don't want it for whatever reason. That could be a risk as well. So obviously these are just a few of the risks. Many things can happen, but product managers effectively need to manage the risk for their own products on behalf of the organization. So how do you go about doing risk management? This is a 4-step process, and we'll go over these each one step at a time. First is identify. You list out effectively what are the potential risk items, anything from internal factors to external factors, and you identify and you write that down. So here are some things that can go wrong at a very high level. Technical factors, requirements could be incorrect, the technology may not be there, complexity is there, performance may not be there, the quality of the product's not there. Actually, you know what? I won't go through each of these items, but you can think about any product that you're building. There are many things that could go wrong. I mean, as a project manager or in that space, I'm sure there's been a certain amount of risk management that you've done yourself.
Yeah. People can write a book about it if they start.
Exactly. So lots has been written about this. Part of this course, as an intro to product management, I think it's important for everyone to know that risk management is on the product manager for your products. There are many things that can go wrong. These are just some examples of them. But what you need to do is make sure you follow the right steps to manage that risk that is there. Yep.
So how do you document and keep track of them? Just like a RAID log or something, or do you have any other mechanism?
I'm actually going to show a format over here.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Then what you want to do is quantify. You want to make sure that you understand, based off of any risk that is there, what is the probability that the risk will occur? And then if that was to happen, how bad would it be? Bottom line is not all risks are created the same. So you want to make sure that you quantify into different areas. So you kind of think about different types of risks that may occur and in different product cycles that they can occur at. So if you're working on a brand new product, you're probably in the high risk category as compared to a new feature within the existing product or just an improvement to an existing feature where you go from medium to low. You can have unclear requirements that increases the risk of a particular product or a feature. You can have partially developed requirements. You can have fully developed requirements that decreases the risk over time. Is something customer critical? They're relying on it and they need it by a certain time. Something could be not as customer critical, or there could be no customer dependency. So each of these things really change the amount of risk that occurs within a product. And that's what you need to do as a product manager, is to identify and quantify that. For startups, there's a framework that is generally used which compares the likelihood and consequences on a 2-dimensional axis. So generally speaking, if something is high likelihood and major consequences, And if you don't deal with that in a proper way, it could kill your company. Whereas something which is a low likelihood item and a minor consequence out of it, it is something, even if it's a risk, you could probably ignore that. No, so all risks are created differently. You want to make sure that you identify what kind of risk it is so you can set up the right steps to manage that. And here is a good framework for you to kind of think about the risks that you have. So the impact could be minor, moderate, or extreme. So you could put it in 3 different dimensions. And the probability could be rare, moderate, or very likely. And then based off of whatever risk that you have identified, where that ends up falling, that should tell you how much attention you need to provide to that. Has anyone done a risk management exercise in the past? I guess, Vinayak, you have. Anyone else?
I have, but like on an academic project.
How did you approach that, and how was the framework that you developed for it?
Actually, we had a very academic, like they gave us a template and we just had to follow steps.
Okay. Did it look similar to this? Was it different?
Yeah, very similar to this.
Got it.
But I have a question. How is this? Is it the same as project management risk?
Yeah, good question. So it is, we are in a little bit of the project management territory. As we had discussed in the, I think, Unit 2, product managers, or sorry, this is Unit 1. Product managers end up doing a lot of different kinds of work, and project management is one of those aspects. So this is certainly one of the components that project managers, which is why I was asking Vinayak about as well, you kind of dealt with. And it's just a critical component to you delivering a feature. And the methodology that project management has developed, it is completely applicable to product management as well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Actually, another quick question. So,
Yeah.
if a team has both product and a project manager, so who do both of them end up doing it, or how does it work?
Yeah, good question. So what I would say is that I think the project manager in that case should lead this exercise. And if I just go back a few slides, a lot of the external items like regulatory, market, customer-based, a lot of those inputs, if they exist as risks, that input will be provided by the product manager, if that is a setup of the organization. A lot of the internal items like project dependencies, funding, resources, estimation, all of that, that would likely be established by the project manager. And then the external components would be the product manager.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. After this, so you've identified the different risks that may exist. You've quantified them, what the probability is and what the impact could be. The next step is to respond back to it. What can you do proactively to prevent something from happening? Or if it cannot be stopped, then how do you really mitigate that? And this is a template that can be used to think about how do you want to respond back to risk. So the risk and the probability and the impact, those 2 columns have been figured out in our step 2. And now what we want to do is identify any actions that we can do to prevent the risk and mitigate the risk. Many times what you would also want to do is make sure that all the key stakeholders are aware of the risk, and you are going ahead and making sure that they agree with the action plan that you have developed yourself. If they can provide and improve that plan, great, then add on to it. But this is certainly not an activity that you want to create in isolation. You want to make sure that you involve, whether it's your manager, the executive team, the CEO, whoever that is, depending on the level of risk and how you want to manage that, you are involving everyone there. And then you monitor. Really looking at how effective has the response strategy been? Are you preventing it? Are you mitigating it? Is there anything that has gone wrong in addition to that? And really kind of responding back to it as necessary. I don't think there's like a rule book around this at all. Risks come up all the time in different ways. So as product managers, we just need to be on our toes and act on this as things come up.